Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. In this video, we're going to be breaking down how Terrence Crawford fights Southpaws, and we're going to be looking at Felix Diaz and Julius Indongo. And what we're going to be looking at, what we want to be talking about, are how Crawford controls the line, the kinds of games that he likes to play, and most importantly, where the holes are for Errol Spence to be able to close the gap between their ability to score and maybe win the fight. So the first thing we're going to talk about, Crawford likes to control space against a smaller fighter with lead hand control here, being able to be real relaxed here, get his lead hand out. His opponent then parries it and tries to jump in with a jab, which he parries, and then counters with a jab, which then he parries, right? And he's trying to get off the line with his opponent moving off the line. And I want to point out here, boom, the hook. Okay, now this is going to be really interesting as we talk about the film study, but Errol Spence doesn't do a lot of hooking, number one. But once Errol Spence gets to this position, usually he ends his sequence. Usually he's done punching. And we can see the follow-up, not only this not being a straight punch, and that's going to be very important because as we see through the film study, Crawford is so good at countering straight punches. Okay? But I don't know if Crawford interacts with hooks or rounded punches very well and counters them as part of his thing. Now, this is really important, again, because, again, we know Crawford is so good at his jab games, right? And we're going to get to see him play some of those games. So scenes like this where he allows his opponent to come forward multiple times, throw multiple punches in a sequence, are going to be very, very important for the overall kind of scheme of this film study, in that, sometimes Crawford isn't always on. Okay, so we're going to kind of talk about some of those moments. But let's go ahead and get through the film study. Again, as we're coming through the line, he's controlling the line here with the jab here. Boom, give him something to think about. Now I'm going to peel off. Give him something to think about. Now I'm going to peel off. And here we have Diaz following him, right, with a pendulum hook. Boom, and he's going to go down, up, leaping shot. Catches him around the guard, right? And now he's going to catch him with another one. Now, this is important because, again, Crawford is really good at controlling the line and not getting hit with the straight punches. Okay, jab. Boom. His glove is in front of him. And again, his hands are out in front of him. I don't want to say he reaches for punches, but he does try to control the line with the lead hand quite a bit. Okay. Now, against a taller fighter like Julius Indongo, he doesn't do this as much, which may give additional openings on the line, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But here, very important sequence here. He's not controlling any space, right? He's allowing Diaz to control space here, so he comes in with the jab. Diaz pulls it after getting kind of tapped, and he's going to try to come in with the counter. Now, Crawford's pulling that, getting off the line and coming back with his own counter. Now, a few things to point out here. Number one, Crawford is looking to counter this counter, right? Boom, counter the counter, pull. The hook that Diaz is throwing and keeping in his weight and his momentum going is, I don't want to say necessarily it's what's saving him, right? But it's one of the things that stops him from keeping his head in this place, right, after throwing that shot that Crawford was going to hit. And Errol Spence, again, he's not really a right hooking kind of guy. And when he does, he kind of stays in that position anyway. Like he can throw a 2-3, boop, boop. But he doesn't really move his head very much. So even if he does wind up doing that, he's not really he doesn't really pendulum forward, right? He doesn't usually come forward once he gets onto the front foot. Errol Spence usually comes forward from the back foot, right? Stepping through with the double jab, but not usually coming forward with the hook. But again, we can see Crawford here, excellent job of jabbing, pulling, and getting back on the line with the counter. Again, something I think that will be very, very effective against Errol Spence. Now again, jab, pull the counter, counter. A move that he's been doing, again, 1, 2. Just a beautiful shot. And again, able to counter this rear hand punch from his opponent, something, again, that's a very, very high amount of Errol Spence's offense, even though this guy's not as quick and sharp as Errol Spence. It's something that Errol Spence is very good, or Crawford is very good at. Okay, now, getting on the line here, 2, 3, right? Again, Errol Spence doesn't always doesn't really usually ever get on the line with his rear hand. He usually gets on the line with the jab. And here we have Crawford able to control space with the rear hand to get him into this position and then throw this shot here. And if Errol Spence is trying to pull counter that rear hand, then he's going to be open for that right hand. And again, Errol Spence is one of those guys that loves to control every beat. He's always trying to interact, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. If Errol Spence was a better power puncher, and he would be more, I want to say he'd be more like Crawford, where he takes some time off because he's going to know he's going to try to land a hard shot soon. Because I think Crawford does that a little too much, and we're going to be talking about that again a little bit later. But Crawford being able to connect the line between his 2 and his 3 here at this pace is very, very, very important, because that takes away some of the time that Spence is going to be able to counter and control the line against Crawford. Okay, and Crawford will be able to just enter the line with that rear hand, look all fancy and pretty. Now again, this clip here is just going to show at what level Crawford's really fighting at. He's just such a boxing genius. Very, very, very smart fighter. He's going to get on the line with the jab. And Diaz tries to control some space after him, and he pulls off. I don't like that shit. So if he's going to control some space after my double jab, what should I do? Okay. Jab, jab. 2, 1, 2. And he lands these punches. He lands 2 of them, expecting a similar amount of control from his opponent. Again, Diaz showing that he's going to counter on the second move, not the first one. So he sets his trap for the second beat, not the first one. Again, Crawford, just a very, very, very smart fighter, very, very savvy, and again, very, very good at fighting off of his and his opponent's straight punches. Jab, 2, 1-ish, 2. Beautiful, beautiful work. And combinations are very important for countering pull counters as well. Now again, Crawford, very crafty, getting on the line with the 2, connecting the line with the 3, getting off the line for his opponent's counter, and then getting back onto the line. Okay, this is very important because here we have Crawford initiating the engagement with the rear hand, right? A rear hand probe, beautiful. Fighting off of that on the next beat, controlling it with the power shot. Boom. His opponent's pulling, and now Crawford was not only able to attack the line with 2 power shots and have perfect control of the line where his opponent could hardly react to them, but it didn't compromise his technique enough to stop him from being able to interact with his opponent's counter and then re-entering the line with another counter. Meaning that Crawford can successfully not only fight and probe with his rear hand, but he can probe with the combination. Boom, boom. And then fight off of the reaction. Now, Crawford does get hit by the hook here. Okay, and this is, again, it's very important that it's a hook and it's not a straight punch, because I don't know if Crawford sees them coming the same way. Now, again, he lands here, lands an uppercut, beautiful shot, fighting on the inside, control. Crawford, very, very good, very, very smart. And again, able to control the line with the rear hand and the lead hand. Both shots, very, very, very good. And fight off of them. Again, fighting off of his jab here. Jab, getting the counter. Boom. Here comes the 2-3 from his opponent. He jumps off the line. Okay, we don't like the look. Gets to the line. Gets down. 2-3 again. Very, very, very sick sequence. And again, Crawford able to fight off of his jab. Pull. Boom, boom. And his rear hand. Okay. Skills that, Errol Spence is pretty okay at fighting off of his lead hand, but not as good at fighting off of his rear hand. Because he can't usually use it to initiate a sequence. Now, one of the reasons he can't use it to initiate his sequence is because his structure falls apart. His foot falls off the ground. Now, if you guys want to learn what Errol Spence is missing with his structure, check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System. It'll teach you to fix your footwork so that you don't have the same problem that Errol Spence is having. And one of the reasons that Errol Spence is having this problem is because he's driving from both feet as he gets his momentum going, as he moves forward to the line, but he doesn't understand what he's supposed to be doing with both feet. Nobody's ever taught him before, and that's because my combat system is the first to discover the use of driving your weight from both feet from the ground, and the way that we do that while we connect the rest of our pieces of the kinetic chain to our punch, okay? Not only and again, I didn't just figure out what you're supposed to be doing with your feet. Again, most people say you're just going to jump your weight from one side or the other. But no, when you drive your weight, you have to drive from both feet at the same time. But most fighters, they wind up learning to do this on accident, which means that they don't always learn the best ways to control it. And Errol Spence is one of those guys who people would say he's just naturally gifted, he's naturally talented because he naturally does some of this 2-foot punching stuff on accident. And nobody taught him to do it, and that's why people say he's a gifted athlete. But if you learn to control your weight and the 2-foot punching, people will think you're a gifted athlete too. Okay? And just so happens that I have an entire combat system to not only teach you how to punch with both feet with every punch, improve your punching power, but it's an entire system to teach you what fighting is supposed to look like as well, to teach you how to fight off of your own jab, teach you how to fight off of your rear hand probe, your straight rear hand, right? Whichever, if you're southpaw or orthodox, your right hand or your left hand, your power punches, right? To teach you how to fight off of either one of your straight punches. But it's not just going to teach you that, but it's also going to teach you how to generate real punching power, okay? The mythical punching power. Again, I'm the first coach in history to be able to figure out how all of punching power works, how all of your body mechanics work, and exactly what to do with what you're supposed to do with your feet, but also exactly what you're supposed to do with your hands, okay? And not only to generate power, to generate snap, but to increase it as well, okay? An entire program that is guaranteed to teach you how to unlock your max potential power currently and then to increase it over time, and not just a little bit, a lot over time. And you're going to be increasing your punching power for the rest of your life. Okay? That's how effective these drills are. Okay? So check them out, Fouts Boxing Combat System. Not to, lots of MMA coaches, lots of MMA fighters, lots of UFC fighters are checking it out. It's really cool stuff. So check out the content. People are very happy with it. Changing the history of boxing. Check it out before you leave a crazy comment. Okay. Now, very cool stuff from Crawford. Again, controlling the line, and again, Crawford has this thing that he can do where he doesn't have to be punching when he gets on the line with you. As we see, he can control the line, boom, right? Move his head. But the active guard, right? He doesn't just have to punch. He can slip to the front foot. He can go to the back foot. He can cross the line. He can do all these different things, control the line. And we know he can fight off of these jabs as well. And that's one of the huge differences between Errol Spence. Is Errol Spence usually gets to the line and he has to punch right away. Now again, jab, pull, rear hand probe, right? Into the 3. Again, this is one of those sequences that I think Crawford is just so good at. I had to include it again. And again, very, very difficult to fight him off of his own probes, right? Or off of the jabs, because he's so good at attacking your probes, at attacking your the ways that you control the line. And it's one of the reasons why I think he's going to be so effective against Errol Spence. Now again, his opponent penduluming forward, boom, boom. This sequence is not necessarily as likely to happen like this because Errol Spence usually comes forward at the beginning of sequences with his hands up pretty well. But excellent, excellent timing. And if he blocks this punch, boom, he could throw the 3 right after, just like we saw off the pull counter. Obviously, he can do that if he can do it naked here, right? And that's an opportunity for Errol Spence to get caught while pull countering, right? Because we can see that Crawford has a very, very high-level probe here. Boom, excellent shot, very fast, very hard. All those are very important because he may be able to draw that pull counter from Errol Spence so that he can counter it because he has such a good probe. Okay, again, very, very high-level stuff from Crawford. One of the best fighters, ever. Crawford is very, very good. People, Crawford recently said, who do you think that he would beat Mayweather? And, obviously Mayweather can't entertain that, but is Crawford the reason why, who's the reason why Mayweather retired? Right? Because, he was still number 1, right? And nobody was catching him. No, it's like guys like Keith Thurman, they were just a little bit sooner, right? Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Errol Spence. Maybe Errol Spence is the reason Mayweather retired. Now again, I just wanted to include this clip. Here's the hook coming. Now we've seen how good Terence Crawford has been at countering jabs, countering rear hands, countering single attack probes, right? Not countering the hook here. Okay? And I think that's really, really important. I just think that he just doesn't get to see enough hooks. Most people suck at straight punches or at rounded punches, so they don't throw them a lot. Now this clip is really important because here he comes with the jab, 1, 1. Here's the 2. Boom, Crawford's pulling it, getting in with the hook thing here. And then look at him get stuck on the front foot, again, just like Errol Spence still does. And I think I have a clip of that. Let me see if I can find it. Not this one. Here we go. Boom. Falling off balance here and just getting kind of annihilated on the line. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, a very similar position, and Crawford is going to be catching him with some really, really snappy shots there. Bop, 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 bop. I don't know if we were that far yet. Definitely saw that one. We did not see that one yet. Okay. Now, okay, here we go. Is it here? I don't think so yet. We definitely talked about this one already, right? Okay. Jab, pull, boom, counters, beautiful off the jab. We're definitely farther than that, right? Okay, we saw that one. Yikes, guys. There's the hook. Okay. Counter, counter, beautiful. 17 seconds. Okay. Here's Crawford moving through his active guard. Attacking with the jab. Circling through. Attacking with the rear hand. Beautiful, beautiful work. And kind of can do whatever he wants in his active guard, right? He's got so many positions that he can fight. So many punches he can lace off of his moves. And again, all this guard, and all of a sudden a hook comes, breaks his rhythm a little bit. But again, that sequence right there is something that Crawford, or that Errol Spence really can't do, which is freely kind of move through the line. Where is that clip at? Okay, there's that clip. Alright, we got an important clip. I can't seem to keep finding it. Okay, so getting on the line, jab. Now, this clip is really important because sometimes I think Crawford, he's not on. Is it still coming? Where did that clip go, you guys? I can't find it. Watch that one. This one. Okay, is it the next one? 16. 2. Oh my goodness. Where did that clip go? Oh man, and now it's gone completely. My bad, guys. Yeah, I know. Most of you guys come to my channel and you hate my content anyway. You just want to complain. How did I lose that clip? It's 1 minute and 4 seconds long. Okay. Alright. Let's try to watch this clip. So we've got Crawford controlling space. I don't know how I skipped over this one, but controlling here a little bit. But notice no controlling of the space here, right? He's completely giving space up, allowing Diaz to come forward, right? And again, in this sequence, sometimes Crawford is not on, okay? Notice we've seen him pull counter moves like that many, many times. We've seen him fight on the inside many, many times. I don't know if he's conserving energy. I don't know what he's trying to do. But he's leaving a lot of space, okay? And this is for the whole rest of the third round, okay? So as we're watching, Crawford's just not super active, right? He can cross the line, control a little space here. But is he not actively attacking? Is he not making feints and probes? Is he not setting something up? Is he just wasting time? His opponent just jumped onto his line, threw some random punches at him, fighting him a little bit on the inside, a little bit, kinda. But not a lot of work from Crawford, right? What's going on? He's just peeling, giving space. And there's these times in the fights where Crawford is not looking to fight. And those times in the fight, I think those are the times where Errol Spence needs to really try to sneak up on Crawford. Okay, because Crawford's really fast. He's got really good traps. He's got control of the line. He can do all this cool stuff. 2, 3, uppercut, right? Breathe back into controlling the line. But he's not always looking to counter. He's not always looking to play these kinds of games. But we see he's always capable of them, right? And sometimes Crawford will not, he will not do cool stuff like this and just blast you on the line. He'll give you space to throw punches at him, and I think that's a huge mistake for him. That's a huge mistake for him, especially because sometimes Errol Spence can get a little bit. Whoops, that's the first video I made. Get a little bit tricky, and he rarely does this. But see him throw this combination just real quick, boom, 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 boom. He's very rarely throwing punches this fast on the line. And I think one of the key strategies that Errol Spence could have for this fight is looking to find an opportunity to get on Crawford's line when Crawford's not controlling space effectively. Again, here's another hook, caught him with that shot. And again, Crawford, if you pay attention, there's a little bit of space here, boom, boom, boom. He gets settled, and then he throws, right? 2, 3, leaping shot, catches him with a good shot. No big deal. But Crawford here I don't want to say he doesn't seem to see that they're still in a fight. He's expecting there to be a little bit of time. He just got hit with a shot. He pushes him off, and he's not controlling space immediately, right? For whatever reason, that means that his opponent can get right back on the line with him. And look at him, catches him trying to pull counter this move. And again, I think if Crawford's not on the ball, sometimes there's space to hit him. There's space to flood his line with combinations. There may be space to jump on his line and go like this. Boom, 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 boom. Because Crawford may let you on his line. But I think if Errol Spence is supposed to take advantage of that, boom, he needs to really go all out. Because as we can see, there's holes here. Boom. Boom. For Spence to find punches when Crawford's not probing and setting up traps off of his punches. There's places for him to find places to put his combinations when Crawford's not trying to pull counter him. When Crawford's not trying to counter him and keep control of the line. When Crawford's doing that thing where he runs away and he gives up space, for whatever reason that he would do that. He just does that sometimes. Okay, we got a few more clips to go. Again, sorry about that big lull in there. Got to find my place now because I don't know how I accidentally skipped over that clip and then I just couldn't find it again. So we saw that one. Again, excellent shot deep in the fight. The 1-2 comes from his opponent. Jab, pendulum, catches him in between. Beat, 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 beat. Counters, excellent. Crawford's sick at that at every stage of the fight. Now, Crawford's going to do an excellent job here of working with him. Jab, control, pull, counter, control, pull, counter, counter, 2, 3. Very effective sequence for him in this fight. Recounters him. Recounter, counter, pull, counter. Excellent, excellent work. And when he gets back on, again, he's very, very tough to fight. You know, Crawford's very, very tough to fight. Let's see. Now, that brings us to Indongo. Okay, jab, pull, jab to the face. Okay, and then we're going to see one later, jab, pull, jab to the body. But interacting with him, it's kind of a hook thing from Indongo, pull, hook, counter. Now, very important sequence right off the bat. Gets on the line. 1, 2. Crawford pulls, brings his head forward, smashes him with the 2, jumps on his line. And now this sequence is really important because here's Crawford coming forward with a leaping hook. This is something that he doesn't do a lot of. But I think if he does add it to this fight, it'll be very effective against Spence because Spence, like him, likes to control space with the straight punches. And I think that the leaping hook would be very effective. Even though I think Crawford is going to be afraid to throw that shot on average against Spence. I don't think he'll throw a lot of them. But once he starts getting into a rhythm, if he does, I think it'll be very effective, a big turning point in the fight. Now, as the sequence keeps going, again, sometimes Crawford's ready to pull counter, and sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's ready to defend himself. Sometimes he's ready to do A, B, C, and D. And sometimes it's the furthest thing from his mouth, or from his mind, and you're going to hit him. Right? Because he's not playing those games, right? Whatever games that he's playing, he's ready to play those games at that time. And now the game changes. And again, he's now thinking about something else. And again, here's Indongo, 2-3, right? Again, I don't think Errol Spence is a big 2-3 guy, but here it is, 2-3 hook, right? Very, very, very effective move there for Indongo. And again, covering that beat after the rear hand is going to be really important for Crawford. Or for Spence, because he falls off balance on that beat. Whether he can cover it with a punch or a pull counter or whatever, he's going to need it. Now again, we saw him smack Indongo up with that rear hand a second ago. Here he lets him throw it for free. And now he's not countering him. And again, Crawford's not always on it. He's not always looking to control tons of space. Okay? Now, this sequence is really, really, really cool. Watch. Indongo is going to come forward with the jab, stepping jab, very common, very Spence imitation-like. And now Crawford's going to pull off the line from that, and he's going to chase him with the jab, chase him with the feint, chase him with the double jab, boom. And look at the position that Indongo's in, okay? Now, Indongo's going to chase him again with the jab. He's going to get on the line, boom. He's going to pull, and he's going to chase him jab, jab, 2. And this sequence is really important because Errol Spence loves to control space with his jab. He loves to counter jabs, and if he can, again, get him going, right? Because again, Errol Spence is going to use this punch, boom, and if he can counter him and control him, Errol Spence also does not usually get his lead hand up in the middle of sequences. He can be chased and be caught. The pull counters or the combinations are going to be very effective, and again, chasing either Spence or Crawford, I think, will be very effective. Even though chasing Crawford, eventually he's going to find a way to sit down on a punch and hit you hard. Spence too, but in this case, I think Crawford has the edge. Pull, body shot. Again, very, very good games of the jab. Pulling, hitting him with the jab to the face. Pulling, hitting him with a jab to the body. Pulling, chasing him with the 1-1-2. All these different games that he has to play. Jab, pull, and then pull, the rear hand, counter with the leaping hook. Again, watch Crawford's weight. He's going to get his weight on the back foot, and now he's going to jump from the back foot into the line with the hook. Boom, catches him with that shot. Again, so many different ways that Crawford can attack that position. And again, never mind, we're not going to look at it again. Pull, rear hand. Now watch Crawford bring his weight to the line, back. And now as he brings his weight to the line, Indongo is going to bring his weight to the line, and he's going to try to throw an overhand over what could have been a jab over Crawford. Crawford's going to pull. Crawford's going to pull and get back on the line with the uppercut. Misses that punch, and then rotate, misses this punch. Beautiful rhythm from Crawford, and ready for the next punch as well. Really, really sick work. Coming forward with the leaping hook into the 2. Beautiful work. Again, Crawford doesn't do this move a lot, but I think it'll wind up being very effective against Crawford or against Spence, even though I don't think he's going to do it nearly enough. Now, Crawford gets on the line. He's going to feint him and see that uppercut pull counter, right? One of the moves that Errol Spence really, really likes as well. Okay, now he's going to get on the line jab. He knows that uppercut pull counter is coming. He's going to pull his head back, boom, and then come back on that counter, boom, boom, body shot. But he has great control of the rhythm, great control of the pace, bop, 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 bop. Excellent, excellent work. And again, fighting off of his own jab, figuring out what the opportunities are, reading his weight. And this sequence here, this is what Spence needs to be doing, boom, to Crawford. He needs to be figuring out if Crawford is going to be pull countering him or not, if he's got counters on the mind or not. Because if he does, then I think Crawford's going to beat him to the line with the counters. So Crawford, he needs to figure out when it is that Crawford's looking to counter so he can avoid those times at the line, and figure out when he's not countering so he can flood the line and really attack him. But again, boom, counter again, body shot, body shot. This sequence here is just so common. I think it's just exactly what's going to wind up happening in the fight. This is exactly how he beat Porter. Yeah, it's jumping off the line and then going to the body with these shots here. And again, countering the rear hand from his opponent. Initial thoughts, Crawford versus Southpaws. The hook, the right hook, is pretty good against Crawford. He doesn't usually have, it's not like gonna maybe knock him out, maybe drop him while he's penduluming and running away, circling, when he's not trying to counter you, right? But more importantly, he doesn't make as many attempts to counter the hook as he does to counter straight punches. So being able to incorporate it into your plethora of punches, or your repertoire of punches, will be very important for Spence. Even though I don't think he's going to be doing that. Figuring out when it is that Crawford's looking to probe and set stuff up and make traps off of his probes, and when he's going to be looking to counter your probes, right? And Errol Spence really wants to avoid both of those scenarios. And find opportunities. Now, the way that he can avoid it maybe is by flooding the line too much, keeping Crawford. But here's the thing is, eventually Crawford's going to throw a 2-3, right? Eventually he's going to attack the line multiple times. And again, Errol Spence can only enter the line from the rear hand, or from the lead hand, right? From the back half of his line. He doesn't really get to the front foot. And that makes it even more difficult for him to wind up throwing hooks to control space, because he doesn't make it into the position where he can throw a hook. He's always just doing the little bit of pendulum steps, the tiny ones, so that he can close the distance. So, yeah, there's just not a lot of holes to beat Crawford. He's so good at interacting with the punches. I give him the speed and the power advantage. I give him... he has more tools. He has more pull counters. He has, just overall, the only thing that Spence has is size, and I'm not sure how effective the size is going to be for him. I'm not sure if he's going to actually be stronger than Crawford, because if he was actually stronger than Crawford, he'd be a better puncher than he is. He'd be more coordinated with his muscle groups. And it shows that Crawford, because he has power, he has more coordination. So I don't even know if that's going to be the case. Anyway, yeah, I think Errol Spence's best shot at winning this fight, his best shot, is to try to Floyd Mayweather him. And hit him with jabs, long-range jabs, and then leave the line. Don't even try to fight combinations. Don't try to fight on the inside. Fight a 10-punch per round fight. And don't let Crawford knock you out. Try to find a way to make it to the 12th round. so that, as someone cleverly put it, so the judges can do their part. um, so I think that if the fight goes the distance, and Spence doesn't go down a bunch of times, I think that they probably will steal the fight from Crawford. I think Crawford will do that thing that Lomachenko did, where he thinks he's just had enough, and the two guys in the ring know who's winning, right? But whatever. And remember Porter, the Porter fight. He was incredulous to the idea that he could be losing that fight. He had no idea, and he had no idea that he could be losing that fight. And they told him that he went out there and knocked the guy out. But why wasn't he doing that already? Why wasn't he controlling the line more? Why wasn't he keeping a tighter hold on the fight? Right? Now, again, it's that lack of a tight fight that may cost him, right? Because Errol Spence, not a big puncher. But I'll tell you what, if you're not expecting to get hit by 3 punches, like do-do-do, like the Larte fight, and like he didn't hurt Larte either, so like I'm not putting too much stock in this, but if Errol Spence can sneak up on him with a combination, he might be able to hurt him and get an extra point. And that may be enough to win a couple rounds. And I think that's like Errol Spence's only shot, is to kind of sneak up on Crawford and hit him with a combination. Yeah. Yeah. I think that Errol Spence is just not coordinated enough to really mess with Crawford. But if he did get the Fouts boxing combat system today, he could probably figure it out. But again, another thing that he does wrong, again, is everything he does with his hands. And it prevents him from being able to throw rounded punches and move his head and do all that fun stuff. So, anyway, yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff. I have Crawford as a heavy favorite for this fight. Now, if you guys want to watch full film studies of these fights on Patreon, check them out. We're watching Spence and Crawford. A bunch of their fights, kind of all month long. So, yeah. Thanks, guys.